All right, so today's lesson is multi-step. So we're on section 5.3. This will be the last section before I give you a quiz next week. So let's just do a little recap, making sure that we know which inequalities goes with which circle. So less than and greater than will be an open circle. Less than or equal or greater than or equal will be a closed circle. And then the rule that we went over on Wednesday is if we multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the symbol, okay? So this is just a little recap just to refresh your memory. All right, so I'm just gonna do 3 examples. Today's lesson is real short. Again, you should know how to isolate the variable. We learned this at the beginning of the school year. So you're still following the same steps. So our first step is, what's the opposite of subtracting a 3? Adding a 3. So as you can see, you have to show me, okay, I'm adding the 3 to both sides. It cancels out on the left-hand side. What are you left with? I'm left with 2x greater than 8. Then I still have to isolate the x. So I'm gonna divide by 2. And I get x is greater than 4. I box it in. All right, so now I'm gonna plot the point. Open circle at 4. It says x is greater than 4. So I gotta shade to the right. So as you can see, I'm showing the steps of how to isolate the x. After I get the solution, I do the graph. Okay, let's go to the next one. So what's the opposite of adding? I will subtract the 2. Okay. Now, remember, we never divide by a fraction. We said we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by -3. I'm multiplying by -3, so I got to flip the symbol. It becomes greater or equal to 2 times -3 is -6. So I started off with a less than, but I ended up with a greater than. So I'm going to plot it at -6. It will be a closed circle because it has the equal. And it says greater, so I got to shade to the right. Okay. All right. Last one has a little bit more steps. So I see a distributive property. So I know I have to first start with this distribution. So I get 2x plus 6 minus 3x less than 8. All right. My next step is to combine like terms. So I have 2x minus 3x gives me a -x. Okay, so this is what I have. I got to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6 to both sides. I end up with -x is less than -2. And then my last step is divide by -1. I'm dividing by a negative number, so I must flip the symbol. And then the 2 becomes a positive. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This was a +2. So therefore, this becomes a -2. Okay. So I plot it open circle at -2. And it says greater, so I need to shade to the right. Okay. So you're basically combining the 2 steps that we were working on this week all in one inequality. So we first practice adding, subtracting. Then we practice it dividing and multiplying. So in this lesson, we're doing both. So that's why it's called a multi-step.